Hello and welcome to another Office Hours. Capsule, that's right, capsule. You'll notice that I am actually offline because I had to go to a family affair this week, so I wasn't able to do this live, but I did want to do this, record this, I should say, for those of you who like to follow along. This is, of course, another one of our monthly report read-alongs. And as always, I'd love to have you join us live on Thursdays at 6 p.m. No, 8 p.m. Yes, 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/theastropub or youtube.com/theastropublive to watch these live. When we do this, we kind of cover lots of different topics. We do lore, we do news, and a bunch of other things. So come on down. We'd love to have you come down. But with that all said, let's get started with the monthly report for November and December of 2023. As always, this is a full read-through, as you could probably tell by the length, not a summary. Summaries are fine, but you often lose a lot of information and nuance in the actual summaries because you're relying on the person who's reading the actual content to summarize it for you. So while I always suggest you read the concept, you reread these reports yourself, this is, I'd say, a good substitute. So I will add some context as well as we go through. So again, let's get down to the November-December 2023 monthly report. All right, AI content. AI content spent the end of the year bug fixing to improve social AI. Once in a more robust state, they'll start implementing various Squadron 42 features and behaviors. In the meantime, they revived the civilian behavior. This involved fixing basic AI usables, such as chairs, seats, and rails across various locations, and identifying outdated usable setups and communicating with props team to bring them up to date. Voice packs and basic behaviors were updated for the hawker, vendor, admin, bartender AI, and bartender AI across different stations and landing zones. Now NPCs will have proper voice packs assigned to them with their behaviors triggering lines correctly. NPCs will also use their usables correctly with better animations rather than just standing still. However, some shops may not be fully functional due to lacking proper usables. The team also identified and fixed a selection of security AI bugs in Lorville's transit area. This involved implementing some Squadron 42's security behaviors, including sentry and guards, and giving NPCs appropriate voice packs. Finally, AI content worked with level design to implement Squadron 42's engineer and security behaviors across different areas with limited functionality. This was very visible if you've played 3.22. There's a lot of changes they've made to the AI. The AI now is much more responsive. Pretty much every AI at a desk is going to talk to you with more wild lines, and they will pull you into a conversation, though you only have two options, which is, do you have any work and exit dialogue, but they do have a lot more wild lines. I've even walked into a bar where the bartender was shouting at the patrons and the patrons were responding. So it was a little janky, but it's pretty cool. So this is definitely in 3.22, and it'll be interesting to see this going forward, especially since a lot of the stuff that was developed for Squadron is now finally making its way into Star Citizen. Hopefully, with the improvements to the back end to increase server performance, this will become better and better. AI features. As part of Alpha 3.22 release, AI feature teams spent time investigating issues preventing the improved combat behavior from working as intended during missions, including slow reacting AI. Like the infamous standing on chairs issue, AI being slow to react doesn't have a single cause, but highlights a range of issues that appear to manifest as the same problem. Each cause needs to be individually investigated, and a solution proposed, and often this requires hours of testing and debugging to find the precise conditions under which the specific issue occurs. Often issues are intermittent or only manifest in specific missions at specific locations. AI features team. They've said this a lot, but yeah, One of the things, the pet peeves that I always hear when people pull this out is like, you know, Star Citizen can't even get AI right. They're always standing on chairs problems, and you know, why would I have to fix that problem? Is probably a lot more complex than anything else in the Star Citizen universe right now. Like, there's probably easier to solve solutions in the game for gameplay than AI. AI seems to be one of the biggest hurdles that CIG has always run into, either because of implementation with their fancy new systems, their over ambitions for what AI is eventually going to do. There's lots of problems that they have with AI that they have been tackling over the last couple of years, but probably will take a lot more time to tackle over as well. So while a lot of this stuff is cool, keep that in mind that this is probably years away from being kind of a smooth, continuous experience. You're going to get some glitchy, weird AI, even when everything else is much smoother and the gameplay is much better and more polished. AI is always going to be a problem. Hopefully that is a short issue, but as we've seen, it seems to be one of those problems that CIG always seems to run into when it comes to development. The team are aiming to reduce the amount of time it takes to debug these issues with 3 approaches. The first is to improve knowledge of the AI debugging tools, particularly among the QA team, so that when an issue is first encountered, all the right information is available. This can often highlight issues with specific missions or location setups that don't require further debugging. For example, missing or badly placed navigation mesh, missing animations, or poor server frame rates. The second is to speed up the process of getting to the right location. If an issue only occurs in a specific spot during a specific mission, the team needs to be able to quickly reproduce it rather than waiting for the mission and location combination to line up as part of the normal flow. When investigating issues, one of the biggest time sinks is flying to the location, even using no-clip God mode, so they're looking at providing teleport functionality to active mission locations. Even CIG has problems with travel in their own game. Travel is actively slowing the development down. Oh. Finally, when we've identified a cause that might occur again, they'll improve the debugging tools to highlight it so that they can more easily identify subsequent occurrences. For the Alpha 3.22 release, or for the Alpha 3.22 release, AI features worked on several causes of slow reacting AI, including fixing an issue where an increase in the AI perception meter were not being recognized in the general reaction function, causing NPCs to hang in a reaction idle animation. Fixing an issue where AIs weren't exiting the investigate behavior correctly due to not checking the current target. Debugging an issue where the hostility and perception systems weren't correctly encapsulating these specific requirements for hostility in a particular mission and location. However, this requires a better specification of the intended design and will come with planned improvements to the hostility system. The team are also investigating if they can add a hotfix to work around this issue in the next release. These aren't the only slow-reacting AI issues, so the team will continue to investigate and fix issues in subsequent releases while ensuring they maintain the improved combat functionality. AI features also worked on AI issues identified with Replication Layer. Replication Layer is a core component of server meshing, allowing the AI to migrate between servers or restore their state after a server crash. The team identified that when the AI was serialized back from the Replication Layer, its observable state, dead or alive or unconscious, etc., was not correctly restored, which led to issues. For example, the AI thinking another agent was dead and not trying to attack them. As part of this fix, the team are making a switch between these states more consistent and less ad hoc by tying it more closely with the status component that controls when the switch occurs. Okay. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that you're going to find out a lot when Replication Layer starts getting added in. A lot of those like fringe problems will start popping up. So either the end of 3.22 or the beginning of 3.23 is going to be filled with these little problems, which may make the game unbearable. Just always know when CIG adds new technology, no matter how much they test or how much they preview, it will always be a buggy mess. All of us just hope it's functional. All of us players, I should say. I don't work for CIG. All of us players just hope it's functional so we can play the game, but always expect the worst. AI tech. At the end of the year, AI tech progressed with features and support for release builds. For Boids, they're close to finalizing the first iteration that will allow the designers to place fish, rodents, and birds in the environment. Recent updates include rules to avoid dangerous areas or actors, translation rules that will detect weapons fired bullets hit, and the ability to switch from idle/wandering to fleeing rule set. The team also further iterated on killing Boid's agents and how they transition from animation-driven state to ragdoll. For birds, they extended the number of wandering states. For example, besides flying, birds can also walk after a landing transition. Synchronization between the server and client is currently being worked on. That's cool. So that means we're probably going to see Boids in the next couple of patches. Effort was also put into optimizing and improving various features, including the Pathfinder algorithm, a collision avoidance system, navigation system, and subsumption loading logic. For those who don't know, the reason why I bring up the Boids being added soon is because the CIG in the Squadron 42 monthly reports have been routinely improving or talking about adding various creatures for Squadron 42. So we know that there is fauna in Squadron 42, which will have to be ported over to Star Citizen, and that process is probably going to take a little bit more time than we would hope, as players, but obviously it's going to happen at some point. So this is kind of another one of those kind of signals that CIG is definitely working on transitioning a lot of these creatures into the verse to make it a little bit more diverse, especially with the AI tech that they've already been adding to 3.22 and will probably be improving with each subsequent patch. For Apollo tools, AI tech continued to support the designers with additional functionality, including the ability to create PNG files from behaviors, improved readability for subsumption flow graph nodes, and improved undo/redo actions. Several existing features were polished and finalized, including NPCs utilizing trolleys, which received improved collision avoidance. This was achieved by updating the PID controller logic and how it's used for path following when NPCs are pushing trolleys. For AI using ladders, new functionality was added. For example, NPCs can now check if the ladder is available and will only use it if it's free or another NPC is climbing it in the same direction. In case the ladder is being used the opposite way, NPCs will find a free spot at the top or bottom and wait. On the ship AI side, the team improved the extended spline functionality. This involved allowing ships to move along the spline while staying oriented towards the target and moving to the beginning of a spline that's already moving. For example, a spline attached to a different ship. Toward the end of the year, AI tech started to look for better solutions to generating navigation mesh on planets, as the current implementation could be faster and has problems generating navigation mesh close to planetary poles, which is affecting some outpost locations and their associated NPCs. This is currently in progress, and an update will be provided in a future report. I think they talked about that in Star Citizen Live, so that checks. Animation. Animation spent time bringing creatures to the verse, starting with four-legged predator, a bird, and a fish. They also worked on facial animations for increased line count and fidelity. Like I said, that's another big hint that CIG is going to be adding creatures to the verse either in the next patch or the patch after. And, for clarity, the next patch, as of this recording, would be 3.23, which is sometime in March. That might be a little early. We'll have to kind of track around to see what the January monthly report is, the February monthly report is, but keep an eye on that. That's definitely something that we're going to see either for March or for June, based off of how much they've worked on it. Or at the very least, we'll get a big update on it inside Star Citizen around that time. Art characters. In November and December, character art completed the legendary Duster outfit and the racing flight suit helmet. They continued working on racing flight suit itself and prepared an outfit for subscriber flare. Alongside this, R&D was done for creatures. Again! More creatures! The character concept art team started an exploration phase on features for character customizer and other creatures. Creatures. This is going to be the year of creatures. Art ships. Towards the end of the year, RSI Polaris passed its white box review and progressed into gray box phase, where all the surface modeling and animations will be completed. Emphasis was on modularity for the interior to improve reuse and scalability, because they're going to use the Polaris for the Perseus, the Galaxy, the Arastra, and the Orion. All 4 of those ships are going to be using the technology developed from the Polaris, so at least the hallways, the doors, the lighting, that kind of thing. Work started on the Gold Pass. Wow, they still have a Gold Standard. That's the first time I've heard them mention Gold Standard in a year plus. For the Aegis Saber Raven, which includes a component pass and dashboard polish. 3 new variants were worked on. One entered production, another continued through Greybox, and the last progressed through LOD0 for LOD 0. So if it's going through LOD 0, then we're going to see it in 3.23. Variant for what, though? There's really not a lot of ships that I could think of that need variants. Maybe some of the newer ships, like maybe, well, like this. But I don't know. We'll have to see. November also saw work wrap up on the Gatak Sulian and structural salvage support for the Aegis Reclaimer. Obviously, this was done in November, December, so this was around before that patch was released. Community. November and December were busy months for the community team, who supported Pyro on the preview channel for the first time. The team was incredibly grateful to all those positive feedback and had a blast gathering sentiment around Star Citizen's second system. Alongside general housekeeping related to winding down CitizenCon 2953, the team uploaded all the panels for the event to YouTube, along with chapters and timestamps, and published community pictures of the life-sized Drake Dragonfly taken on Saturday and Sunday at the event. You'll see me there too, in my very large visage, if you looked at those. Community supported the return of Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, IAE, and associated FreeFly, publishing the IAE 2953 FAQ and Guide to Professions and Design Convention badge contests. They also continued to connect with citizens across the globe at a variety of Bar Citizen events, alongside planning for the 2024 Bar Citizen World Tour. We had a blast at the recent Bar Citizen events, and were lucky enough to attend. Thanks to everyone who joined us at Dublin, Ireland, and Milan, Italy, as well as the virtual Bar Citizen put on by the great folks at Soul Citizens. That's a wrap for Bar Citizen World Tour 2023, but as a reminder, we're looking to hear from you where we should visit in 2024. And I already have our first Bar Citizen attendance locked in, with Barcelona, Spain coming on February 3rd. Very cool. I've been to a couple Bar Citizens. I live in Austin, Texas, so I get to go to those ones frequently when they happen, so it's always fun. The team worked with the Player Experience Group to highlight a section of Test Universe champions, who contributed significantly to the recent round of patch testing. This initiative will continue in future patches with new categories each cycle. December saw community teams embrace the tradition of Luminalia, including a referral promotion and the Luminalia greeting card contest with extra rewards. They also teamed up with Intel and CLX Gaming to give away Star Citizen game packages, along with exclusive Saber Raven ship to 5 lucky winners and a custom Saber Raven PC during the DreamHack event gaming festival in Atlanta. It's pretty cool. They actually had a lot of stuff to show off, and there was a lot of CIG members there. The team supported the release of Alpha 3.22, Rex to Riches. Alongside the player experience team, they tracked and directed player feedback on the latest features and discussed solution to bugs and quality of life issues with the development teams. They also updated the salvage and repair guide to help players better understand the new gameplay introduced with structural salvage. Last but not least, the team started working on CitizenCon 2954. More on that later. That's very good. CIG planning ahead of time for CitizenCon is needed, and it's something that I'm glad they're doing more actively now towards the end of the year, rather than waiting till like March, which what they had done in the past, to get those started. I love those outfits. All right. So, I do want to highlight this. The economy team is a new team that was added over the last couple of updates. They are effectively the quantum team. So the team that was doing the dynamic economy system, that system has been put on hold. So it is not actively being worked on. What they said was that they had reached a point where they have to wait for a bunch of other systems to catch up for them to continue work on quantum effectively. So that team has been transitioned to just doing economy. So this team is kind of more managing the economy as it is now, likely also doing a lot of research into what they need to do or what they need to look at once they get back to working on quantum. Unfortunately, when CIG pauses something, we rarely ever hear about when it's paused until we hear it come back up, and we rarely hear why or when it's going to come back. So for those of you who are looking for Tony Z, this is where he is. You're not going to hear from him for a while, though. Consider this the word of Tony Z. November and December saw the economy team finish price balancing armors and vehicles. They then began looking into prices of various FPS weapons as part of balancing the wider economy to bring all systems together. A contextual inventory inheritance was designed to tag items in shops that allow them to more easily rebalance prices too. The team worked on the economic implications of freight elevators and started balancing the time and cost of using them. They also investigated UEC income and began to take actions to prevent exploits and rebalance mission rewards, and investigated exploits relating to ship claim time and prices. So, I'm going to give you some translations for all of this. CIG is both looking into balancing how freight elevators are going to slow you down. That is basically them saying, we know it's going to suck. It's going to make your quality of life worse in the game when this is introduced, so they need to adjust things accordingly. They're also nerfing or moving around missions so that you can't just push a ship out of an area and get credit for it. And adjusting rewards and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw this year, especially this next patch, be a major shakeup in terms of things like claim timers, cost of claim timers, as they try to unify everything under a single sort of balance sheet. So hopefully we don't have magazines which are cheaper than t-shirts. I don't want weapon magazines to be cheaper than a hat. That makes no sense. All right. Features Arena Commander. Throughout November and December, the features team focused on closing out essential refactors and polish tasks before they transition into supporting the persistent universe in a more permanent capacity. They also supported upcoming special events for the Alpha 3.22 release. Engineering completed work on the Kill Collector, experimental modes for Alpha 3.22, including a system that allows devs to replace the collection items depending on both the game mode and active events. Further work was done on special events and awards systems, including a prerequisite systems allowing the team to implement exclusive awards. This work also concluded an addition of unique loading screens, backgrounds, and banner that displays on the front end when the event or experimental mode is active, the latter including a countdown until the next rotation. Experimentation also began with in-game FPS loadout customizer utilizing the new spawn screen. For engineering, the team successfully completed the initial tests of enabling streaming in Arena Commander. This will enable them to deliver improved performance to the module and use any persistent universe location without limitations. Previously, some locations, such as the one near cities, were unable to be used without significant additional work. With streaming, the turnaround on porting any location to Arena Commander will be minimal. Design supported work for Kill Collector, Duo Showdown, and other game modes and special events for Alpha 3.22 and beyond. I don't think I've seen Kill Collector. It must be a new mode. Alongside a number of quality of life updates and polish to the front end, spawn screen, and multi-crew systems, they also began planning for the year ahead. So it sounds like they're starting to support the PU? Do I dare think that we might see the return of the sim pods in the PU? Who knows? For those of you who don't know, there was these little pods. You can kind of see some of them. I think they're still left over as props in some places. They look kind of like tires, but like closed tires, and they're white. You used to be able to climb in them, and that's how you would access Arena Commander instead of before the kind of main menu. So you'd have to go into the hangar mode and then access through the sim pod. And the goal was that this sim pod would eventually be used for Squadron and a bunch of other places to use for accessing simulation modes. So that's interesting. That's definitely some changes that I wasn't expecting here. So level design completed work on 3 new racetracks, with 1 more in progress, and a new game mode. A brand new track around the Pyro jump point was also created specifically to test the new master modes. Classic race game mode for Alpha 3.22. Oh, so the new master mode's classic race game for Alpha 3.22. The team created a prototype game mode that saw a successful playtest and will be further worked upon in 2024 too. Finally, the team completed the new Gravlev racing game mode, which debuted at DreamHack Atlanta. That was the cool one. They kind of showed off some of that, which is actually a community map that they redid, as they are wont to do, and then imported. So pretty cool. I like some of these designs. They look pretty cool, pretty neat. Definitely, it could be Daymar, but probably Hurston from the looks of things. Features mission. In November, the features team began implementing a deadline system within a few missions across the verse, which will ensure missions can't be kept indefinitely if the accepted players are not engaging with them. This is for a few reasons. For example, players can lock out other missions, and narratively, it doesn't make sense that a contractor would wait 5 hours for players to kill someone when they know their exact location. However, this is not a universally implemented system. Each mission's deadline will be individually considered. The Steal Recover mission continued to be polished, and variants are currently being made. That is the pirate mission, the pirate cargo mission, which they've been working on for a while. I don't see any more, we'll see, but that seems to be a pretty big addition that's going to come out in 3.23, which is something they've had for a while, which is the ability to attack a ship, disable it, pull the equipment off of it, pull the like cargo off of it, and then deliver that cargo to where it's supposed to go. Either as an outlaw by attacking a ship and stealing its stuff, or as a lawful citizen by attacking an outlaw who's stolen something and recovering it and bringing it back. So it's cool. New player experience was also polished, with the team adding new parts to introduce some of the more important in-game systems. The team then turned to cleaning up and polishing the existing infiltrate and defend missions. And with Data Heist release, the team kicked off a counter mission using one of the modular missions. Very cool. Jumptown saw changes to how players engage in combat, while the journey started to make each location feel unique. In December, mission features began to prototype a time trial for foot race to utilize more of the ledge grab V2 feature. Oh gosh, what is that name? I want to say Quantum Break. That's the wrong name for it. Let me know in the comments down below. It was made by DICE. It's a free runner game. I'll look it up real quick, but yeah, it's I 100%. Nice. Mirror's Edge. Okay. Citizen is Edge. Mirror Citizen. Finally, converting missions to use the freight elevator began. For example, Blockade Runner, Xenothreat, and other missions are being assessed to determine what needs to be updated to ensure they align with the new feature ahead of its release. A lot of this is signaling that this stuff's coming out in March. Like, this stuff was done in the last 2 months, so this is all stuff from the end of 2023. A lot of this stuff is just starting to say, this is what you're getting in March. Obviously, we'll hear some more, but that's a big thing to keep in mind. Yeah? All right. Graphics, VFX programming, and Planet Tech. I don't know if we have the engine. I think we've already passed engine if we already had it. But this is similar to engine, where I'm not an engineer. I am but me, and some of this stuff's going to go over my head. I'll do my best to read it. I'll read it as best I can, and obviously try to interpret it as best I can. But if you understand the canticles of the machine spirit, please let me know in the comments down below. At the end of 2023, the graphics team largely progressed with their longer-term tasks. For example, work continued on improving the visual quality of gas clouds through the addition of directional occlusion effect. The gas cloud system output is being unified with the planetary cloud system so that the new cloud upscaling solution can be used by both. The global illumination team added support for transparency via dense view frustum voxel grid of low-resolution probes, along with the sparser zone space grid of higher-resolution probes. Work is also ongoing to improve the representation of materials in the ray tracing system. Vulkan is reaching the final stages of development, with the team wrapping up the last of their rendering tech. Ongoing work is targeting reducing stutter by working on shader/PSO compilation caching and general performance polishing before the initial release. The Planet Tech team continued wrapping up the water feature, focusing on the robustness, memory usage, and performance. Alongside this, the graphics team improved the water edge effects against both the environment and the visor camera lens. VFX programming worked towards finishing off fire hazard visuals, investigated networking support for the fire hazard system, and added support for water VFX. On the tool side, support is being added for unique IDs associated with each particle effect to allow robust referencing and the reorganization of effects. A lot of the stuff we saw at CitizenCon, I think. So some of this stuff I'm a little off of it, but... Narrative. At the end of the year brought with it a flurry of activity for the narrative team as they worked to close out strong and set themselves up for an even better 2954. November was host to IAE, which featured immersive character dioramas on the show floor and new vids from security professional Garmin Humble and social media influencer Molly. With the release of Alpha 3.22, thank you, I love that. The release of Alpha 3.22, the team worked on supporting a wide range of new features such as structural salvage, derelict settlements, cargo containers, Arena Commander editions, and a variety of Luminalia items, including holiday favorite biscuit ringlings? Including the holiday favorite biscuit ringlings. I didn't remember seeing ringlings. That's interesting. The team also worked on the development of the Santokyai. I can't say it right. Apparently, if you say it wrong, it says ship that is that knits or something like that. I'm sorry, Jail. I've failed you. With a focus on the Xi'an language and lore. Looking ahead, the team planned upcoming work for the PU, including new missions that will be more narratively focused, thank God, and discussed how best to utilize guilds and factions as players progress and earn reputation. Time was also dedicated to improving the generalized NPC voice pack to streamline it and make it more functional, with an eye towards making the universe more immersive while still manageable for the scope of Star Citizen. I've said for many times that getting the NPCs to talk to each other, even on a basic level, will do so much to add immersion and also tie people into the universe, just talking about various things. If you're on Hurston, talking about the air quality or the Hurstons or shipments that you have to go out, or were you part of the weapons testing team today? Oh yeah, I did this. Just like 17 wild lines in terms of conversations and back and forth for each planet, and you would add tons of buy-in from players, because players would actually feel like they're in a universe where the people live rather than just a blank place where NPCs stand on chairs. I mean, people would probably even forgive NPCs standing on chairs if they would actually talk to one another. As always, a selection of lore posts was featured on the RSI website. A look back at the brand new First Contact with the Jerry, a history half remembered, a November Galactopedia update, a Lore Makers community questions, and at the end to end the year, a December Galactopedia update. R&D. In November and December, the R&D team spent a significant amount of time on the temporal renderer mode for atmosphere and clouds. As a result, the first work-in-progress version of the Advanced History Rejection, as well as refined disocclusion detection and preparation of dilated motion vectors was submitted. I don't know what any of that was. Please let me know in the comments below. More research went into the upsample and history blend process to achieve highly detailed results that match the reference full resolution render output as much as possible. For ground fog, experimental support for fog density maps was added and is currently in review with TechArt. The signal encoding The signal encoding and reconstruction code for volumetric cloud shadows received a fix to minimize ringing artifacts occasionally visible in areas where unattenuated sunlight first hits clouds. The atmosphere light pass received refined irradiance estimates based on community feedback, which had reported that the bottom of ships approaching a planet in higher orbit were almost entirely black as opposed to receiving reflected ground light. Aside from the work on visuals, various improvements were also implemented to the post-mortem crash analysis tool, which processes reports submitted via internal testing, as well as the PU and PTU. The tool now supports the deduping of call stacks for all threads in a process and sorts them so that the important threads are listed at the top. The tool now supports dumps written by fast-linked binaries. Additional support is planned to capture and extract auxiliary call stacks for memory corruptions, specifically double deletes and writes after free events. Those will then be used for issue duplication in Sentry to allow the coalescence of memory crashes much more effectively. TechArt and animation. The TechArt and the technical animation team spent the end of the year on deliverables for the content teams across both projects. These include an outfit manager that will pull together full sets of assets for any character outfit in-game, which will help the animation teams author specific content. Previously missing from the pipeline, physics proxy tools creation was added for an intuitive and streamlined way to create physicalized skeletons in Maya. Wow, that's probably a good thing, because that seems to be one of the biggest problems for creature creation, as well as for like alien, rigging and stuff like that. The skeletons are a pain in the butt. It's one of the things I've heard from most of the developers I know, is that they don't like rigging. It's a horrible process, and it takes a long time, and you don't want to do it often over and over again. You just want to do as little as possible. So streamlining that process is probably a good thing. An animation events editor was also added to keep audio linked to animations across projects. New ADB diff tools also help the devs track and diagnose problems with complex XML format files that need historical context to be useful. A replacement for very old toolset that validates content being exported from Maya was created. We're now in a position to add these tests and potentially change some low-level paradigms to enable exploration of new pipeline possibilities. Technical animation team. Additionally, technical animation authored and fixed more head assets, refined existing pipelines, continued developing engine animation systems, and ideated on additional ways to help them approach Gold Master. That's a weird... Why does that feel like complete? Specifically for PU, the team spent time authoring new creatures. Gee! It's just a creature update. It's just CIG being like, creatures. Hey, by the way, we're working on creatures. Like, 2024, the year of the creature. The creeper creature. Get ready for space cows standing on chairs. VFX. During November and December, the VFX team worked on structural salvage effects for the Drake Vulture and Aegis Reclaimer. They also provided effects for new locations and existing location reworks, including several new derelicts and Repel, a rather hellish environment with ground literally burning. What? What? That sounds interesting. I'm gonna have to look that up. Vehicle effects support was provided also with the Aopoa Santokyai and the Origin X1 series. So let's go over just a quick review. Creatures. CIG is working on creatures, on fauna, on alien beings, on boids, on birds, on fish, rats, and something that's going to eat you. Like, there's lots of stuff they seem to be working on. That seems to be very obvious that they're telegraphing. The other thing that's really big that pops out to me are things like a lot of work on the environment and improvements for lighting passes and so on and so forth. The narrative team seems to be, and all the teams seem to be really focused on cargo and how cargo elevators are going to change everything about the game, kind of update a lot of the older aspects. To give you an example, delivering stuff to a outpost currently, or buying stuff from an outpost currently, it just kind of plops into existence. If you're buying it, it plops into your ship. Or if you're delivering something, you just take it to a little bin, you turn it in, you push a button, and you're done. How are you going to, and same with selling. Selling, it just kind of plops out of existence. You're going to have a new system for selling at those locations, or remove that entirely. Either way is going to slow down trading and do a lot of other things. There's a lot of discussion in this monthly report just on how that's going to affect narrative, gameplay, mission design, so many other things. Arena Commander is doing something funky. DJ and Duncan and his team are doing something weird, sounds like. Something that's specifically supporting the persistent universe in a more permanent capacity. Let's see. They're starting to plan for CitizenCon 2024, which is good. Oh, it ships. Polaris is in Greybox, which is a big news. Plus, Saber Raven's going gold standard. And there are 3 new variants which are being worked on of probably the single ship. One's in production, one's going through Greybox, and last one's in Launch Zero, which I don't think we've seen yet. So, and again, if they say a new variant, it means it's a new variant. It's not some other thing they've already announced. They'd announce, if it's announced, they'd already said it on that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a big, oh, and of course AI, huge addition. They're adding a lot of the social content and trying to find all the problems with the combat AI. So social AI is being added in significant ways, and the combat AIs, they're trying to track down all the problems that are causing the combat AI to not function properly. So while it is kind of light on terms of features, there's a lot of juicy stuff which seem to telegraph where CIG is going for 2024. But as always, I want to hear your thoughts on all of this down below. Am I crazy? Am I saying that? Do you think that creatures are coming in next patch? I think there's a big chance of that. And as always, join us live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropublive. And if you did enjoy this, hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and hit that bell icon to be notified when we go live. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.